You come through, Arthur? Let's go. Come on. It's frozen, Arthur. Hard to tell, but there are raised brick beds under there. Also hard to tell, but I've actually done some cleaning up in this garden already this past fall. But obviously, there's so much more to do. One time, these beds looked beautiful. They were full of vegetables or tidy in the winter. But I think that the last time it was like that was 2020. In 2021, I shifted my efforts to making an outdoor forest preschool with an independent school, with an established independent school in my area. And it was just me doing it. And I had to put a lot of energy into it while also raising 2 young children. And and slowly over the next few years, my garden just became less and less used. I had plans every winter to bring it back to its former glory, to use this cheap greenhouse, high tunnel for growing greens again in the winter, which I used to do. It was beautiful. But yeah, over time, busy life, raising kids, not so happy marriage. This garden fell into disuse. And it's beautiful too. I mean, it's beautiful underneath all of the overgrown mess. I should give credit to where credit is due. These beautiful brick beds were actually put in for me by my husband. I say unhappy marriage, but that doesn't mean all of it was unhappy. And he did get a bricklayer to put these beds in for me. I don't know how long ago that was, 13, 14 years ago. So, got to give him credit for that. Yeah, it's full of rambling rose, wild grapevine, pokeweed. I love pokeweed, but I don't want it growing up and overtaking all the vegetable beds. I think this is, I can't remember, Johnson grass? I'm going to have to look that up. I don't remember, but this is a non-native invasive grass that is just really, it's easy to pull up, but you aren't on top of it. It just takes over. This area was my orchard. Again, if you don't maintain these areas, they don't go back to wild, as in beautiful native plant wild. They're often just filled with non-native invasives, and then they choke out the things that you're trying to grow. So this used to be my blackberry patch. There are a few canes still alive in here somehow, which is amazing since most of it got shaded out by like this volunteer black walnut. Yeah, volunteer mulberries and things like that. And there's even an old asparagus patch back there. This is my service berry, which we used to eat from when it was planted in another location when it was smaller. And it was my favorite fruit, but it started developing cedar apple rust. And if you don't know what that is, it is a cyclical fungal infection. It's a combination, or it relies on junipers as like a initial host, and then releases spores that then affect the fruit of things in the oh gosh, I can't remember, in the apple family. Anyway, yeah, this produces masses of fruit every spring, but unfortunately they are covered in cedar apple rust. I've tried a number of natural methods to try to cut it down and reduce the effect, but it hasn't worked. And I don't use fungicides at all. I don't use fungicides, pesticides of any sort. So it's just one for the birds, I guess. I don't think there's a way for me to get rid of it. Maybe, I don't know, actually, maybe I should look into it. Maybe I should just cut it down, leave it gone for a few years and try again. But I think if there is a juniper within even a couple miles of my property, and there certainly are, I'm in a residential neighborhood, that the future plants will also be affected. I don't know. Anyway, I've got a wild blueberry. Not really sure what kind this is. I don't know if it's a high bush blueberry. I guess it is. I need to look it up. But it was actually dug up in the wild from a place that was getting ready to be bulldozed and developed. I know you shouldn't take native plants from the wild, but my spouse dug this up many years ago in an area that was going to be turned into a strip mall. So I think he did it a kindness. Another blueberry that has died back and rebounded many times, just completely neglected. Believe it or not, there are apple trees in here, dwarf apple trees, that years ago I started training along this wire. And then again, like I said, life got busy. I let it go. I mean, this garden was once extremely productive, and it has gone fallow. And, you know, not all of it's been bad, not for me. I mean, it's all been unproductive for me and my family, but it has, I mean, oh, hold on. What is my dog doing? Arthur? Arthur, what are you doing, bud? Is there something in there? What's up? Uh-oh. Somebody was in here. Wonder who it was. Yeah, look at the state of this greenhouse. It's just a junk house. In fact, I had to leave it fallow for so long. We have got an old sycamore tree growing up in here that's going to break through the top. And recently I found out that in this old raised bed, where I threw a bunch of pots and other deteriorating row cover cloths, that rats were living in here. I don't know if they still are, because I haven't tackled this yet, though I do need to do that soon. Yeah. The garden and this greenhouse are an excellent representation of what's been going on with me the past few years. A very chaotic, disorganized, overwhelmed mess that needs serious tending to. Yeah, so that's what I'm hoping to do on this channel. We'll see if it actually happens. I feel a little strange sharing so much about my life with others. Okay, well, anyway, look at these big beds. Actually, I do have some things planted in here that I need to move. We have some tulips popping up and lots of daffodils, and there are some struggling strawberry plants left in here that I need to move. Some struggling raspberry canes, this behemoth that needs to go to the dump. I mean the play structure. Yeah, a lot going on. It's a mess. And then we walk up here. We have my chickens. I only have 3 chickens. 3 bantam cochins. I mean, one looks like a proper cochin, the other 2 don't. I ordered one from my pet chicken, which is that mottled cochin, the black and white one. And then I have 2, oh, I know, I'm gonna get you some fresh unfrozen water. Hold on. And then I have 2, the buff and the lavender here. They came from McMurray Hatchery, and you can tell by their tails they are not true cochins. They're like bred down from like Brahmas or who knows. Anyway, but they're great. I only have 3 now. At one time on this property, more than 10 years ago, I had something like 50 chickens here. We raised some chickens for meat, and we slaughtered them in the garage, and I processed them and we put them in the freezer. We did that for a couple of years. Then I was like, I don't like this. And we've had lots of chickens over the years for eggs, but many different breeds, because really they're more like pets for me. Right now I'm at my happy spot for now, which is just 3 bantam chickens with feathered feet, which means that they don't scratch up the garden as much as a standard sized chicken would, or a clean-footed chicken. Kind of impedes their scratching a little bit, not much, a little bit. Yeah, I think this is all I want. Now, if I lived out in the country again, I would definitely have more chickens, but we're in a neighborhood. I don't want a bunch of chicken poop everywhere, and I do let them out every day that I'm at home so they can forage for, for plants and insects and anything else that they can find, fallen fruit. And I don't want more than 3 chickens worth of poop in my yard. I don't even want that. Okay. Oh, look at this. Okay. This sign, I love this sign. I'm not really sure what to do with it now. At one point, this property was used for an outdoor, morning-only play school, nature-based play school. And I started that in 2016 when I stopped working, doing field bio work. I started doing this. I'll get into that in another video maybe in the future, but it was a passion to reconnect children with nature, and then it was also, a means to an end. I needed to stay home with my child at the time. She had some extra needs, and I needed a way to be with her but also make an income. I was very limited in being able to find a way to do that at that time. So yeah, it was something. It was nice. It was a nice chapter in my life. All right, we've got this giant brush pile of brambles and things that I actually cleared from here because actually just a few weeks ago you couldn't even walk through this place. You can still barely walk through it, but it was mostly brambles and goldenrod, and I love goldenrod, but it was too much goldenrod. You couldn't walk through, and yeah, it was all against the siding of this garage, which is dilapidated, rotting, needs some heavy repairs. Let's see. Yeah, I used to have compost bins back here, but the city rats got into them. We stopped putting food scraps into them, but then they still became warm havens for rats. And I imagine if I had had time to turn them frequently, that would not have been an issue, or if I had been able to line them with some hardware cloth or some sort of metal that they couldn't chew through, it would have been fine. But I did not have the luxury of that time at that point in my life, so I haven't had compost bins in a long while. Need to deal with that. Okay, there's an old chicken coop back here that I built so many years ago out of just various scrap lumber. Used to be super cute. Crab apple. I have made jam from that, but mostly I just like it for the birds. But I don't know, I might use that again.